During the 1930s, four major construction companies in France, namely Spey Batignolles 1923, Sogea 1930, Entrepose 1935 and Capag 1938, developed their own pipeline construction departments. The pipeline activities of Spey Batignolles had a strong growth in the 1960s due to large oil and gas projects in the Sahara. However, the political instability in Algeria and the fall-off investment in France forced Spey Batignolles to proceed with strategic acquisition in order to rebalance its business portfolio. In 1976, Capag was very active on major projects, both at home and at an international level, so active that the support of a larger group became necessary. Consequently, in December 1976, Spey Batignolles' pipeline construction activities merged with Capag to create Spey Capag, today a worldwide leader in pipeline construction. Its first chief executive officer was Georges de Buffévent. Two factors established Spey Capag as a major international actor in the industry. 1980, as reflected by its slogan, "Our working site, the world." Spey emerged stronger in refinery and petrochemical installation from its experience with the US group Bechtel, mainly in North Africa and more particularly in the Sahara. Relying on its various competences and its know-how in managing large projects, Spey Batignolles helped Spey Capag to take on large oil and gas pipeline projects across the globe, regardless of the many difficulties and very hostile environments, in order to build a competitive edge over other contractors. The second factor was the 1973 oil crisis. The oil barrel at $2.6 American in 1973 jumped to $11.7 American in 1974, then $35 American in 1981. OPEC revenues were growing, and the sudden increase of petrodollars generated a wave of investment in the world. Spey Capag was able to channel part of it by capitalizing on its international and multidisciplinary reputation. The first period from 1976 to 1980, small and medium-sized projects were signed. Spey Capag worked in Spain, Iran, Isfahan and Awaz Bandar. In Yugoslavia, for the Slovenian pipeline, 630 kilometers of 16-inch conduits. Austria, West Austria gas pipeline, 120 kilometers of 32-inch conduits, as well as in Australia and Mexico. In France, a lot of projects were carried out successfully for Gaz de France. 1980, large projects are awarded, with a first success, the Riyadh Water Transmission System project, 930 kilometers of pipelines in Saudi Arabia for a contract of $1 billion American, consisting of two parallel 60-inch desalinated water pipelines between Al-Khobar and Riyadh, followed 6 months later by Baghdad Water Supply Administration's 850 kilometers of water networks in Iraq, another $1 billion project. In 1982, Georges de Buffévent becomes chairman of Spey Batignolles and appoints Claude Portman, managing director of Spey Capag. 1984, Iraq. From Basra and during the Iraq-Iran War, Spey Capag completed the IPSA-1 pipeline project, 200 kilometers of 48-inch pipes. The project team based in a hotel in Basra had to sometimes wait under a staircase between sandbags for the bombing to halt before resuming work. On the right-of-way, our side boom pipe layers often crossed Iraqi army tanks heading for the front line. 1985. A first experience in Bangladesh with the opening of a new subsidiary in horizontal directional drilling, Horizontal Drilling International. A first experience also in Colombia with the Medellin La Pintada project for Ecopetrol, 95 kilometers of 10-inch pipes. From the start of the project, we realized that we had largely underestimated our construction cost. It was actually going to cost the double. That was an expensive lesson. 1986, our worksite was still the world, with the Hazira Bijaipur Jagdishpur gas pipeline project in India. 1,735 kilometers of mainly 36-inch pipes for a contract worth $650 million. At that time, it was the longest pipeline construction project awarded to a single company. However, this project ended up in a major conflict with the client, taking almost 10 years to be solved with the help of the French administration. 1986, we were also present in Turkey with the Russia-Turkey pipeline, 730 kilometers of 24 and 36-inch pipes for Botaz. This contract is valued at $300 million and is classed a remarkable success for SPE Hapag. In 1987, returned to Saudi Arabia with the state company for oil projects with the project IPSA 2, 780 kilometers of 56-inch pipes. This contract is negotiated at a construction cost of $2 per inch per meter for a total amount of $101 million. Unfortunately, the pipeline was never commissioned by the client due to the invasion in Kuwait. The pumping stations of this project were situated in Iraq, where our staff was held hostage as a human shield. In 1988, Jean Monville was appointed as managing director, Pierre Fortuné as chairman of SPE Hapag. 1989, Colombia Vasconia Covenias, 500 kilometers of 24-inch pipes, a $210 million contract for Oleoducto de Colombia, S.A. This turned out to be a difficult awakening to the harsh Colombian reality, with plant equipment being blown up and 3 expatriates kidnapped, detained for 6 months, and finally released alive after several negotiations and incidents. This project was planned to be executed with 2 construction spreads. We ended up with just enough plant equipment for 1 spread. Our client was understanding and granted more time for the project to be completed. December 1990, the first step taken in Papua New Guinea on a 171-kilometer project of 20-inch pipes for Chevron, the Kutubu oil pipeline. It was SPE Hapag's first successful experience in Papua New Guinea. The construction was carried out in an extremely hostile environment. The pipeline construction area receives approximately 12 meters of rainwater per year, and this part of the island is covered by impenetrable jungle. Managing logistics was very complex. In the absence of road or track, we had to find landing craft and navigate up the Kikori River to reach and equip the main camp. The only trace of civilization was an old runway in expanded metal sheets, a remnant from the Battle of the Coral Reef during World War II. November 1991, Nigeria. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Pipeline and Storage Phase 3. 490 kilometers of 20-inch pipes to lay for $190 million contract. 1991 also saw the start of the development of the Tunu gas field in Indonesia for Total. In a mangrove swamp flooded at high tide and muddy at low tide, the pipeline was laid by the push-pull technique from a flat-top barge. The trench was excavated and backfilled by backhoe equipped with low ground pressure swamp track. 1993, Portugal with Transgas, a consortium with a German construction company and a joint venture with Entrepose. 530 kilometers of 28-inch pipes for a contract of $340 million. SPE Hapag was the leader of the joint venture and the consortium. 1993, Bernard Wagon became managing director. Pierre Fortuné continued as chairman. 1995, in Colombia, 750 kilometers of 6 and 20-inch pipes are laid for British Petroleum and TransCanada. 1996, Myanmar, previously Burma. The Greenfield project with a pipeline and an access road for Total. This EPC engineering, procurement and construction contract was worth $200 million. It was the first pipeline ever built in the country. Beginning of the 1990s, this large group entered turbulent times. Owing to wrong decisions and some strategy errors, SPE Batignolles was obliged to let go of assets such as its subsidiaries Isopipe and HDI. SPE Hapag was almost taken over by Wilbros, which failed to close its financial package. The American engineering company Fluor was also interested, but for a larger acquisition, SPIE Capag, together with the Direction Ingénierie et Entreprise Générale from SPIE Batignolles. But the French authorities did not wish to see a major French engineering company passing under foreign control. DIEG merged with Technip, and SPIE Capag remained within SPIE Batignolles. Even during this uncertain period, SPIE Capag was very active in a strong and growing market. End of 1996, SPIE Batignolles, with the help of a British partner, AMEC Group, left its shareholder Schneider through a leveraged management buyout, LMBO. Employees of AMEC SPIE henceforth became shareholders of their mother company. Jean Monville took over as CEO of AMEC SPIE. In 1998, Gauthier Louette was appointed Managing Director of AMEC SPIE Capag. Pierre Fortuné remained as chairman. At the eve of its 20th anniversary, SPIE Capag had worked at least once in 16 different European countries, in 10 African countries, 7 Latin American countries, 5 countries in the Middle East, and in 3 Soviet Union or post-Soviet Union countries. 1999 saw the implementation of a new strategy. Executing large projects for state-owned companies on an allocated budget presented important risks of dispute, litigation, and non-payment. AMEC SPIE Capag decided to turn towards major clients in the oil and gas industry. Such well-established clients execute large projects on investment, with delivery of project on time, OTD, being a key factor for a successful return. AMEC SPIE Capag builds its reputation on being the right partner that can be relied on no matter what project difficulties lie ahead. In 1999, 10 years after the Kutubu oil pipeline, Chevron recalled SPIE Capag for the construction of a project in Russia, the Caspian Pipeline Consortium, 750 kilometers of 40-inch pipes. In 2000, 1,070 kilometers of 30-inch pipes for ExxonMobil. This is the Chad-Cameroon project. It's worth $400 million. This project, led in an exemplary manner by AMEC SPIE Capag under the supervision of several NGOs and the World Bank, stood out for ExxonMobil, which remembered it 10 years later when selecting its contractor for the Papua New Guinea liquefied natural gas project, PNG LNG. Year 2000 also saw the construction of a 300-kilometer of slurry pipeline in Peru. The Antamina project included the laying of a pipeline beginning in a mine at 4,700 meters altitude and following the access road to the mine all the way down to the Pacific Ocean. The main difficulty was working without disturbing the mining traffic and within a reduced working space. Evolving at the heart of the Andes at extreme altitudes was also a medical challenge. A special health and safety program was set in place by AMEC SPIE Capag to address the problem. Several international projects were executed simultaneously. All these projects were completed successfully and on time by AMEC SPIE Capag. In 2000, Bernard Wagon became chairman of AMEC SPIE Capag. In 2001, 6 pumping stations were established in Algeria with a capacity of 1 million barrels a day, the OZ2, a turnkey project for Sonatrach. Also in 2001, Australia, 1,000 kilometers of pipeline for sea gas between Minerva and Adelaide. The initial contract was to lay a 14-inch pipeline, but the client company changed its mind. They wanted an 18-inch pipeline to increase transportation capacity. The problem was, 14-inch pipes had already been purchased. The proposed solution laid 2 14-inch pipelines in parallel along 50% of the route and an 18-inch pipeline along the remaining 50%. In 2002, AMEC SPIE Capag discovers Georgia with the Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan project, 250 kilometers of 46-inch pipes and 3 pumping stations for BP. In 2003, still in Georgia, with the South Caucasian Pipeline, 250 kilometers of 42-inch pipes. In total, BTC plus SCP resulted in a $900 million contract with BP. Satisfied by the AMEC SPIE financial performance, AMEC exercised the option to purchase the employee's share. a good financial return for all employees. In 2003, Daniel Gasquet was appointed Managing Director of Amexp Capag. End of 2003, SPIE Batignolles Civil Works leaves the Amexp Group. In 2005, Yemen and the project Yemen LNG for Total. 345 kilometers of a 38-inch pipeline in engineering, procurement and construction, surrounded by tribes armed with Kalashnikovs. Total's project team admitted that any other contractor other than Amexp Capag would have abandoned the project. In 2006, AMEC had to take strategic decision to finance its growth. It sold SPIE to a pension fund. Amexp Capag was not part of this sale, as the buyers didn't want to venture in risky international projects, such as those undertaken by Amexp Capag. In 2007, Amexp Capag was awarded the Medgas project in Algeria for Sonatrach. This involved constructing a high-pressure compressor station to push gas under the Mediterranean Sea up to Spain. This was an engineering, procurement and construction project beginning in Ben Saf on the Algerian coast and ending at a receiving station in Almeria, Spain. In 2007, things happened rather quickly. SPIE Capag is no longer written in 2 words, but 1. Entrepose is purchased by SPIE Capag in May. Vinci acquires this new Entrepose group a few days later. In 2007, Jean-Claude Van de Ville was named Managing Director with Dominique Bouvier acting as Chairman. 2008, SPIE Capag, more international than ever, executes 2 projects at the same time. In South Africa, the new multi-product pipeline for Transnet, more than 700 kilometers of 24-inch pipes. And in Colombia, ODL Pacific Rubiales, 245 kilometers of 24-inch pipes. Having completed several large projects, SPIE Capag now has a pool of qualified personnel and is able to mobilize several project teams on different international projects, executive concurrently, 2 or 3, depending on the size of the project. 2009, Angola. Chevron, loyal to SPIE Capag, ordered the construction of 27 kilometers of pipelines, 3 by 9 kilometer pipelines in parallel, in a very difficult environment. A contract worth $420 million. 2009, Papua New Guinea. 450 kilometers of 30-inch pipes for ExxonMobil, a contract value of $1.5 billion. This was the ultimate extreme project. ExxonMobil was convinced that only SPIE Capag could deliver it. The project forecasted a new pipeline up to Kopi, parallel to the pipeline that was laid in 1990, but that was just the easy part of it. For the remainder, the pipeline would cross Papuan mountains up to 2,800 meters altitude. Work would extend across a plateau, valleys and mountains without access roads. 10 million cubic meters of earth moving. Often rocks would have to be moved to build the construction right of way. This construction project, to which all superlatives can be applied, will be remembered by all those who participated in it. It was a titanic but organized adventure. 2013, the Inca Huasi project sees the day in Bolivia for Total. 160 kilometers of 30-inch pipes. Presented by Total as a true challenge, this project was delivered successfully and on time by SPIE Capag. 2014, Australia, the Eastern Goldfield Pipeline for our new client, APA. 300 kilometers of 8-inch pipes at daily average progress of 6 kilometers. 2016, SPIE Capag returns to Europe with a Trans-Adriatic pipeline cutting through Greece and Albania. 400 kilometers of 48-inch pipes, a contract worth $800 million. This is SPIE Capag construction team's current challenge. Once more, this project is linked to a geopolitical context, a pipeline bringing gas from Azerbaijan to Europe without crossing post-Soviet Union countries. This pipeline offers an alternative to Russian gas, on which Western Europe heavily depends. Bruno Guy de Chamisso is named Managing Director in July 2016. Benoît Le Cinq becomes the chairman of the Entrepose Group. In the Book of Records, Peru. a slurry pipeline at 4,750 meters altitude, 316 kilometers long in 2000-2001. Norway, a 3,600 meter long gas pipeline in an 8x9 meter tunnel, 230 meters under the sea level in 1993. Colombia, Quiziana flow lines, 12 kilometers of 12-inch pipes with a wall thickness of 25 to 32 millimeters, tested at 500 bars in 1993-94. Colombia, the Mariquita Cali gas pipeline at 3,800 meters altitude, 20-inch pipes air-tested along 82% of its length. Spikapag has been constantly evolving since the laying of its first gas pipeline in 1923 in the Parisian suburbs. Over the past 40 years, Spikapag has executed 225 major projects worth more than $17 billion and has laid 30,000 kilometers of pipeline. If we add the pipeline length laid before the merger of SPI and Capag, we confirm more than 50,000 kilometers of pipeline installed. The 5 major oil and gas companies, ExxonMobil, Chevron, Total, BP and Shell, grant Spikapag between 50 and 80% of its turnover, depending on the year. The pipeline construction sector has evolved considerably. Technical solutions are becoming more and more demanding. This seems to be a natural evolution for our clients, for whom nothing is or should be impossible, whatever the conditions: geological, technical, meteorological, and even geopolitical. Pipeline construction contractors are now evaluated on results in safety, social responsibility, and respect of the environment. Spikapag's superior performance record and results are key factors to accessing current and future markets. Spikapag is proud to celebrate 40 years of history made by women and men of diverse origins spanning the globe. Spikapag is a benchmark company, able to work in the most extreme conditions, offering solutions to preserve the environment, endowed with a sense of social responsibility. Spikapag is a company dedicated to laying the pipelines of tomorrow, true arteries of our modern world. Who knows today where Spikapag will be required to construct the future? This fantastic history of the first 40 years of Spikapag just had to be shared with the men and women who have dedicated all their energy, often making personal sacrifices, enabling Spikapag to be recognized as one of the major players worldwide in pipeline construction.